Hello everyone, my name is Scarlett Hellier, and today we're going to go over creating a world map in Inkarnate and then import it into Fantasy Grounds. To start with, what we're going to do is create a new map. I like to choose the fantasy battle maps. Honestly, there's not a huge difference between all of them. But what is important is the direction that you want it to be. So if you want a landscape or a portrait map, then you're going to want to make sure that you select those. Or if you want to, you can always do a custom map with a custom number of rows and columns. When you're editing, you can choose the resolution. This will only affect the stamps and the clarity when you're trying to actually place them on the map themselves. But from here, you can choose it to a higher degree. It will slow down your machine a little bit, especially if you put a lot of different stamps on there. I'm going to do a landscape map. And you'll notice it starts off with kind of a nice ground texture. What I like to think of when I'm building a world map is how an actual world is built. So sure, we start with the ground, but then we want to make sure we're adding to it. So you can add any of your textures to it, and that will add it to the foreground using this masking tool. This is how you would create land masses. So if I want to do a whole bunch of islands in the middle of an area, I'll just go in and put a bunch of shapes somewhere. This might be a nice small pirate type map. With several islands. And of course you'll want to vary their sizes up a little bit as well. And then once you get your island to how you want it to be, you can always, if you have it, once you have it to how you want it to be, you can always go in and add the water later. Or if you have made a mistake, what you can do is click the subtract tool and say I didn't want all of these lines on here. What that's going to do is continue to make it in a manner that is a little bit more natural looking. Now that I have all of those in there, what I'm going to do is go to the brush tool and add in my background. This is going to be everything that's underneath and around the outside of your area here. Now if you don't have the Inkarnate plan where you have the unlimited items that or access to all of the stamps and the background tools, that's fine. You can still create incredible works of art. However, the annual subscription for Inkarnate is reasonably priced for only $25. What I like to do from here is just click on the water, and then I'll make my size very large. You don't have to worry about overlapping any of your foreground because it will go underneath it. You can always also click the fill BG button, and that will fill the background layer completely. To make it a little bit more realistic, what I like to do is add in a different layer of water and kind of a sporadic opacity, light opacity item, and just kind of give it a little bit of texture and depth. Maybe a little bit more than just halfway. And you'll see that gives us a little bit more texture in the background than just the solid blue colors. Then, now we would take our other waters, or if you wanted to, you can change your filters, change the hue, saturation. So if I wanted more green water, maybe around the sides here, of this bay, we could do that. If it's putrid or something along those lines, you could always also do other textures. Just water is an easy one to do. Once you have everything looking how you would like, you can see there's a variety of options. You would want to make sure that you also have everything how you would want it to be in the background before you start to go any further. Now I'm going to change it to the foreground, and we're going to fill in those islands with a different type of detail. So this grass, mixed grass is good, but I want to try and make it a little different. Make sure we increase our opacity back up again. And if I wanted to have a different style of map, then of course that changes with the type of texture. Zooming out with the scroll wheel, or if you need to move side to side, you can hold the space bar and grab and drag. Or just scroll in with the wheel and grab it with the wheel. Once you have your background doing okay on there, you may want to add some additional dry patches to some of the zones, maybe at where the peaks are going to be of these mountains or islands. Add in some soil patches. The key to this is not being super precise and using that star brush layer to kind of layer on a sporadic outline. With the opacity being turned down a little bit, I'm going to be adding a little bit of darkness every time I add a layer on top of itself. So then from there, everything's looking great and how I want it to look. What I'm going to do is just double check, make sure there's not anything else I want on here. Let's add some bushes, some bush texture to a couple of the islands as well. We get some variance in topiary. Once we're done with that, we're going to move on to the stamps. I personally find the stamps are probably the most fun. The key to thinking about your stamps is what you would like in your environment. Again, if you don't have the paid transcription or paid subscription to Inkarnate, you may not have all of these items. But I like to click select all so that I see all of them, otherwise you can keep it down per each individual style. You can also upload items and custom assets. So here you can see that I have a couple items that I have imported from either drawings that I made myself or that I took from images and edited them out to make it so that they could be stamps. But now let's add some stuff to our areas here. Now this shark would be the entirety of the ocean. We don't really want that. So I'm gonna hold shift and use my scroll wheel to kind of scroll him downward a little bit. Holding control will rotate him. And then if I just want to zoom in a little bit, I can put the sharks on there. A little bit of sharks here. We'll turn this guy after I place it. A little bit on top as well. Put those all in there. I'm going select this one and move it just a little bit. That way not all of our sharks are kind of going the same direction. The other thing you can do too is reduce their opacity, and that will make it look like they're not flying above the water. But I want to do that for all of them. So if I click and drag using the select tool, I can change the opacity of all of them to a specific color or a specific level. And that's going to hide them underneath the water via the appearances. Once I have my sharks placed, what I like to do personally, but you do not have to do, is select them all, either hit the G key or right click them, and then click the group button, and then group them all together. Once they're grouped, I like to make sure that they're locked in place so that I don't accidentally select them later. Hit that pencil and rename them. Sharks. Oops. From there, I'm going to put some other items on there. So I'm going to go ahead and put some seaweed. We're going to zoom in real quick and see how far away the seaweed is. And you want to make sure that you're putting seaweed, you kind of put it in along the shoreline in kind of clusters to make it a little bit more realistic. And this could be something that would be harder to traverse for maybe an animal or something. You'll notice that I have random stamps on. If I don't want to have the random stamps on there, of course I can uncheck it, and then it will just continually place the same type of stamp. You can also do things like adding the random flip or placing multiples. So to make this bigger, so that everyone can see it, if I do a multiple and I click auto select on with the random stamps, what I'm going to see is an area wherever that circle is, and it's going to randomly fill them with those stamps. You can change the density using the density over here, and we're gonna just minimize that just a little bit, turn our area down a little so that they're not super large, and then also turn my size down. It's still a little large. Do maybe closer to 30. Again, once I have all of the seaweed that I need, I'm gonna highlight them all and I'm gonna group them, lock them in place, and then rename it. Now, once you have your entire island put together, let's go ahead and make our opacity on this guy a little bit more heavy because we're going to turn him into a kraken. And I like to make these kind of all facing out of the same area here. And I'll flip it so that it's not all on the same type of plane. I'll move this one back a little bit. I should have put the kraken in a little bit further out from the shore. Not to worry, I can definitely do that. I'm gonna grab all of these and I'm just gonna move them to a different area of the map. Rotate it as I see fit. And then, because I want it to be a different color, I'll go to the advanced settings and under filters, change it to maybe of a teal color. Increasing the saturation and brightness and contrast until it looks approximately how I want it to. Add a few more stamps. Shark a little bit. Add a killer whale. Why not? And then maybe add some starfish. And maybe a large whirlpool. But I've got too many on here. Place a single one. Okay, so once we have everything how I want to see, of course the other thing that you're going to want to do is add lakes, maybe add some extra trees. Let's add some trees. You can use the search function, search all styles if you'd like, or you can just go individually and just search in your current item. Let's do trees, or you can do the hashtags. Foliage is really great if you're trying to do a bunch of different items all at once. And I'm going to add a bunch of summer trees everywhere. Gonna add a bunch of summer foliage. Really make this island fun and traversable. Let's find our palm trees. Flavor of tree in there, and from there maybe add some flowers. I really like these yellow flowers, so I'm gonna put them all over the island. Now that we have our foliage in place, you can add more humanoid type elements. Clear our filter from here. And I'm gonna pick a certain style that is more ship-faring. Hashtag ship. Oh, look, we even have more animals. Let's put some crabs over the island. Some ropes around, maybe a broken boat that is shipwrecked, and some broken oars because the person got frustrated that they're shipwrecked. What you really want to do is just make sure that you're kind of telling a story with your location without it being too overcluttered, because they definitely still want to be able to move around and kind of traverse the island. If you do make a lot of changes, Inkarnate will let you know that that is something that you have done, so I like to make sure that it reminds me. I'm going to put islands as my name. Once it saves, we'll call this done for now, And then once you are satisfied with your map, you can export it. So if you click export as image, it will save the image to your downloads. And if you are running on a pretty high-speed machine, you can do the HD export. And if all of your players are working on a high-speed machine, then they too can see a higher definition image. Then you can make sure that you're doing it this way. I like to do it because it does add a little bit more realism to it, and it means that you can scroll in really far. Once it's loaded, or exported I should say, it'll go to your downloads folder by default, and from there we can bring up Fantasy Grounds. Once I am able to get up Fantasy Grounds, there we go. So I already have a campaign loaded in. What I'm going to do is go into Images and import the file. It's going to ask me which window I have, so it's not going to show everyone on the video. But I'm going to go to my downloads and click that item that I had just opened. It's going to open up on a very tiny map. Feel free to expand your window. And then you can hold shift and scroll in to kind of zoom in a little bit, make it about the size of the window that you'd like. And from here you have your map loaded into Fantasy Grounds. If you'd like to, you can also do items like the line of sight, add in lights, maybe add in difficult terrain, things like that, but you are all set to run your campaign with your brand new map. I hope you enjoyed my quick run through of how to build a world map on Fantasy Grounds. If you'd like some more tutorials, by all means, drop a comment and like and subscribe. Thank you!